What would you do if your entire team walked out on you within a month? Well, today's interview guest went through exactly that, and she's going to tell you how she got over it and resolved it to move forward. We're going to talk about how she grew a business, the software that she uses that has saved her not only 5 to 10 hours a week, but has made her money. We're going to talk about how she went from being a social worker to a sales rep for an American company to owning a cleaning business. And we're going to talk about sex toys in the bedroom. This interview truly has it all. So stay tuned to the end if you are thinking about maybe starting in the cleaning industry and you want to have a look at a franchise opportunity. So without further ado, let's jump in and get to know Viv Doolan from Interbright Cleaning just a little better. Let's go. So, hi, Viv, and thank you very much for joining us. So, why don't we start off with you telling us a little bit about yourself and who you are outside of your cleaning business?
Sure. So, gosh, who am I outside my business? I feel like it's so consuming at the moment. I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah, who am I?
So, I live in a little village in South Northamptonshire. I've got my family, my dogs. I'm kind of very outdoorsy person. Love traveling, love new experiences, love music festivals. And while it's been busy this summer, I've definitely been trying to I've kind of gone down the route of work hard, playing a lot harder, kind of at the weekends, seeing friends, having
Yeah,
barbecues, very much just wanting to experience everything in life, really, and just looking forward to going away on holiday in a couple of weeks, just going to Mallorca. So,
oh, lovely.
yeah, trying to do a bit about, trying not to have my work life consume everything, all of
I
my
am a
energy.
big fan of that. I am a big fan of that. And especially when you see like people like being the grind is 24/7. And not if you don't want to last in business, it isn't. Like you'll burn out quicker than a quick thing, mixing work and pleasure all over the place.
And if you're menopausal, like I definitely am, like when you go to the menopause, like feeling the difference of your energy levels. Like I'm not 25, and what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to kill myself. I've got a certain bandwidth for my energy, and I kind of try to protect it. Um,
Love that. Yeah, I wish more people would do that.
yeah.
I think the Gary V's and stuff when he came out a couple of years ago, it was all about the grind and being an entrepreneur. You have to grind 24/7. You just think like, no, 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 please don't do that. You will end up burning out, and that is not a good experience. So tell me a little bit about your professional and business journey. Who was you and what did you do before you started the cleaning business?
Oh, do you know what? It just feels like I was a completely different person. Professionally. So I was a social worker for my sins for many, many years, for about 14 or 15 years. It was grueling.
Yeah.
It was very, very stressful, very high risk. I was doing like child protection, court work, massive, monstrous caseload that was felt very risky. Um, I then moved on to be independent. Um, but then when you're independent in social work, you're moving more into like the heavier allegations. So it's like, and then I looked at my kind of superiors that were like in management. I moved into fostering, and I looked at those managers and how Ofsted, like I used to call them the Ofsted overlords, and I was like, I don't want that. I don't want it. The social work and what I would do, there was a lot of reward in terms of like there was huge things happening for children's like futures, placing them with like really good families. But then there was a bad side to it as well, and I got burnt out, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, you end up with vicarious trauma as well from dealing with such heavy shit that
Yeah.
most people don't know about. It's still stored in my brain. I can't get rid of some of these stories. They're real. They really happen to people. And I do think people do burn out. And I definitely did. So I was like, I don't want to stay in this. This is no longer serving me. I didn't have brain space for my son either when I came home from work because my mind was so addled from all the things that I was
Yeah.
having to deal with that all of my energy was going into that, but I was getting nothing back. So nothing was filling my cup. I'd always felt like I want to run my own business. Like when I was a kid, I used to play businesses. Like, what kind of weird kid does that? Like, I'd have a secretary, then I'd have like a cleaner. I used to set up offices, I had a cleaner that came in and I used to pay. I mean, I don't know where I got this from, but it's always been a passion. Um, when I came out of the fostering, I set up a B2B service to find foster carers. I did that for about 4 years. Um, it was really interesting because I really deep dived kind of business, B2B contracts. I had no idea what I was doing. There was no one to teach me either because this was a totally like blue ocean
Yeah.
thing. Nobody was doing it in the UK. I had no possibility of any kind of mentorship. So I just had to figure it out. Um, and I did end up getting lots of really good contracts. I got a contract with the biggest kind of what we would call the whale in the industry. Worked really hard to get that contract. So it kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone, and I had to learn by making mistakes, by just kind of teaching myself. It was a very lonely journey.
Yeah.
Compared to what I'm doing now. I took a break out and then went and became a closer for a US company selling their marketing education. I learned absolutely loads from that company. So that was kind of my very random journey.
But all skills that transfer very well to the back end of running a cleaning business, the sales in particular.
Yeah. So with the social work element, I think the only thing that I was able to pull through to business was communication, and really hearing what people want and building rapport really fast. That was what I took from the social work side. But yeah, with the B2B stuff and the sales and that, I was building like the skill sets really to piece the blocks together, if you like, the jigsaw puzzle pieces.
No, that's a very interested background. So what inspired you to start a cleaning business? Was it planned? Was it a happy accident? Was it something you fell into?
I was looking for, firstly, I didn't have a sellable profession, shall we say. So I didn't have expertise because you can't sell social work 40
No.
years of social work skills. It's like it sits in its box and that's where it is. It's like on the shelf. There was nothing else I could do with that. So I was like, right, I haven't got these expertise built up over the years, but I do have the background knowledge of the sales and the marketing and everything to grow something out. So I was like, what can I do? I can clean. And when I'd had a break from social work a few years prior, I just got a couple of clients and just went out and just cleaned. And it was dead easy. And I quite liked it. It was very chilled. But more for me, because of what I'd learned on the B2B side of selling those leads, right? Every month, I was spending over 10K on ads to get all these leads in. And it would be so wild, like what I would get. There would be time, like in January, I could do 10K month or whatever. But then by August, for example, zip. So I learned pretty fast. Crikey, I did not have an ongoing, consistent revenue. And it's that I think this is what people learn when they go into business is where you think something's a flashy idea or a great idea. It's like dipped into events and stuff like that. But you very quickly learn how stable your salary was.
Yeah.
And when you go into business, actually, it's completely different if you've not got your focus on it. Yeah. So why I picked cleaning was firstly, I didn't need any specific expertise to go
Yeah.
out and do it other than the fact I could do it. Secondly, I could get clients quick. I knew that I could get clients fast and I could generate revenue faster than trying to set up anything else. But the crucial thing was the gold of it being an ongoing revenue. model, a consistent revenue model. But that's where I started looking at cleaning completely differently.
Yeah.
Because when I'd done cleaning previously, I did kind of think, oh, I could set up a cleaning business. Do you know, I think I was a bit snobby around it and a bit like, oh, it's not sexy.
Yeah.
I was looking at the wrong thing, right? I was looking at the wrong thing. And now, with the benefit of hindsight, it's like, it's sexy as hell when you've got ongoing, consistent revenue. And I can tell you what I'm going to bring in next month.
Yeah. What is that saying? Where there's muck, there's brass. What is the biggest challenge that you faced running your cleaning business, and how did you get through that?
The biggest challenge I've had so far has been staffing. And I had a period where all of my staff, for all different reasons, because none of them knew each other, all left in June at the same, all within the same few weeks. And I even had like my ongoing member of staff who was an absolute gem. She's absolutely brilliant. Had been with me for 10 months. She handed in her notice at the same time. And I had all of these clients and all of these staff at various different times giving their notice. And honestly, it has been, because this is still kind of fresh, I'm still recovering from it. It was the most stressful experience I've had in my working life, and I've dealt with some really stressful things in social work. This was on a different level.
So what have you done to, or what did you do to try and mitigate and ease that situation? And also, what did you learn from that situation moving forward?
So the key thing that because like obviously I couldn't say to the clients, you know, you're ongoing consistent cleaner anymore. And so where my thoughts was, what can I do right now to make sure that none of the clients have disruption despite this massive chaos going on in the background, because I need to still be trying to commit as far as possible to the consistency and reliability of your clean, even if I can't commit to the consistency and reliability of your cleaner. That was like an awakening for me that, like, you know, if you're going to have to deal with churn of staff here. So I had thought, I'd learned from watching, you know, all the different channels and stuff, always be recruiting, or ABC, always be recruiting. And I had people in the pipeline already. And then I went back into the ads that I was running and picked another gal who, coincidentally, she's now gone on to be employed. But I'd already put the wheels in motion to be having other members of staff coming on, which I think was my saving grace. Because when I look back to that period, as much as I was wildly firefighting, there was only one day where I wasn't able to meet the clients' cleans on that day.
Wow,
otherwise,
that's amazing.
all of the clients were completely covered and serviced on their day, on their time. And when I look back at that, I'm like, how the bloody hell did I even achieve that? I don't know how I did that, because there was 4 of them that left. Like, my whole team had gone. And I think it's come from maybe like when I was doing social work, I got very used to dealing with crisis.
Yes.
And just hitting everything. Like, the longer I've got to sort something out and the quicker I can do it in kind of readiment, then I can get through it. And then I think my core learning from that, because obviously I don't think I even cried because I was so spun out. I was like, ah! But I think that the biggest learning, Kelly, honestly, was that I actually dealt with it. You know, I dealt with it and I sorted it all out. And that has brought an element of, because I did feel so out of my depth, totally overwhelmed. There were a couple of bottles of wine involved to kind of blur the edges a little bit, because I was so like strung out on a work night. But now I'm like, do you know what? If I dealt with that, I can deal with anything that this is going to throw at me. And I know as well from doing like personal development around business that You are going to be tested to the max.
Oh,
This
it's
is
not for the
going
week.
to be
Yeah.
way outside your comfort zone, you know. And I had that massive challenge and I've dealt with it. The key
That's
learning.
great. It's give you a big shot of confidence, and I would imagine it is give you some thought of things that you could put into place or things that you could do to prevent that happening to you again in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely about how to protect the business, you know,
Yeah.
how to protect the business, how to protect the clients, how to hire in a way that protects you, and so you're not overlapping all these different. So there's so much, like, it's the case, isn't it? When you go through the biggest load of crap, where everything goes wrong, that's where you learn the
Yeah.
most. Yeah.
You don't learn anything when things are going well and like bumping along. Like I like it when there's problems and things like that because it makes me feel like awake to be able to do something. But yeah, you always definitely grow when things go wrong because it just makes you think I'm not doing that again. So if anything, it helps you learn new techniques or strategies or whatever to put into place. Okay, so if you could go back to day one and start your cleaning journey again, what would you tell yourself?
Probably not the answer that you were looking for in this. So I'm going to slightly change my answer in a way. But I would have actually done this instead of doing all the other businesses.
Really?
Yeah,
What makes you say that?
because with the other businesses, it was like I learned what not to do. And I just feel like, had I understood the importance of the ongoing revenue model, I could have started this like years ago. But then I wouldn't have learned all the marketing and sales stuff either. So I don't know. Like, I just wished I'd started it earlier. I think that's the key thing. Does that doesn't really answer your question, does it?
I mean, it does that you would do it again, you would start it again sooner. But if you were to go back to like day one of Insight, what would be the one thing that you would whisper in your own ear to watch out for or to implement or start this earlier or
Okay, so I would say then, don't think that you can be the change in a sector where there is a high churn and turnover of staff anyway. Because do you know what is going to happen to you anyway, Viv? And what you need to do is you need to manage it. As you need to manage it
yeah,
and deal with it, because you can't just, because I was under the illusion that if I charge premium product, like, it kind of made sense at the time. It's like, right, if I'm going to charge a premium for my service, and then I'm going to pay people a lot more, and that's going to make them stay.
you do.
No,
This is like
and
when people say about paying cleaners, you think it's not always about the money. The money is one part of it, but it's not the whole part of why people stay in jobs or why people stay in companies.
yeah, and that, to me, it was that learning, and then the bomb dropping really for why, in hindsight, why I think some of these girls left, is that my role where I'd set it as a freelance role. Look, I'm paying you a really nice high rate of pay. It doesn't work for some people. Some
Oh,
people are on benefits where they can't have a freelance role. Unfortunately, one of the girls that I work with, that I developed a really good relationship with, she shared that with me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like a revelation to me, because now I can actually create a job that fits with this. You know, you're the avatar of who I need,
yeah.
and you need my type of work within school hours, you know. Um, so it's all around, yeah, anything that I whisper in my ear, it's staffing, 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 staffing,
Yeah.
you know, other area where I'm totally clueless, basically, and just learning by making mistakes.
That's the only way to learn sometimes is to do the old stuff and see what happens, what doesn't happen, what works well, what doesn't work well, and then going back and tweaking the things that didn't work so well and then testing it again.
Absolutely.
What is the one business decision you've made that has changed things for the better?
Making a decision to charge well.
How did you come to that decision? Was that based on market research? Was that based on what you think it was worth as a service?
I think a lot of it was actually connected to personal development. generally about not having a scarcity mindset, of not having a mindset where look at your local cleaning companies and race to the bottom on pricing. No, I want to charge a premium because I want to offer a really high quality service and I want to charge for it. And I believe there's a market for it. But having the belief, because a lot of this is like mindset, isn't it? About like where companies will set their pricing, is that I do have an abundance mindset. I feel that there is a market for what I'm doing. And then there are some people that aren't going to want my service, and that's perfectly fine because there's a market for them as well. And that is the fundamental thing, because if I've got a good profit margin, I can grow. You know, I can scale, I can do better training, I can provide better products, I can provide better, everything can just be better.
Yeah.
With well-priced service, you know, a service that allows me to develop within it, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Lots of people set prices where you just think like you might be able to pay yourself, but where's your budget for growth? Where's your budget for marketing? Where's your budget for taking on staff? Because there's a cost to that before you even make that money back. And I think a lot of people do what you said. They do the racing to the bottom. They will go onto Facebook and they will go onto these posts where people say, I'll do that for £13 or I'll do that for £15. And they think that's the going rate. So you just think, mate, you shouldn't even be getting out of bed for that. The cleaning is hard work, it's hard graft, and it's a skill within itself.
And I think where that is born out of is actually of a lack of understanding about business in a wider sense, because people are like, oh, I only need to add, like, they're almost like scared. So like I've got a friend who's doing cleaning. It's like they can't go above a certain amount because there's like this unwritten rule in their own mind that I can't go higher than that. Because then people will say no.
You know, all the time in the Facebook groups, you get people that will put like, I charge £25 an hour, and you'll get people say, oh, they won't pay that in my area.
Yeah.
I bet they will.
Yeah.
If you know how to market it and you know how to sell it and then you know how to close the quote down, I bet you can get that sort of money. But yeah, you're absolutely right. People, one of the last chaps I interviewed from Hubby Cleans, he called it the employee mindset, where people take the minimum wage and then they bang like £2.50 on the top of it, or like £3 or something on the top of it, and be like, oh, I'm making money. I can pay myself what I would make, and then I'm even making more. And you just like, yeah, but you haven't given yourself any growth budget or any contingency budget in there.
And then it's the understanding as well that within that there are so many, as you grow and as you take on staff, there's so many more overheads.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to pay for every client that cancels. That's your administration time. You need to be paid for that. For every member of staff that you need, you need to pay for a job ad or your time if you're going to do it organically. That needs to be paid for. You need to pay for your systems. You need to pay for your time checking in on the clients that aren't paying. You know, there's so much insurance. You need to pay more for insurance. So I think this is what happens when people start a business, is that they just put a little bit on, and then in time they realise actually this is nowhere near covering it for all the back end, you know, all the back end costs, like your marketing. You know, all of the marketing spend. Where's that?
Your systems, your CRM, your ZenMaid, your jobbers, you know, all of them sort of things, they cost money.
Exactly. So I think what probably happens along the line is that people don't realise those costs until they've got so many clients on this low fee, and then they're like, I'm not covering my costs, and then they've got to go back to I'm still having it now to a degree where some of my earlier clients, you know, I'm changing the fees and stuff, and you know, you've got to do it kind of gradually. But yeah, I think that's one of the key things, isn't it, when people are starting out, is you learn the business gradually and then you realise that the fees weren't ever right.
And I think the more of us that learn how to price up and make sure that we cover all of our costs and our overhead as well as profits and paying us, I think the more of us that start to do that and get educated on that, it'll just lift the industry as a whole. Because why would you work for £15 an hour and you can charge £25 an hour?
Yeah, exactly.
It just doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah.
So what would you say is your top cleaning hack or pro tip that every professional cleaner should know?
Weirdly, it's kind of keeping the cleaning as dry as possible.
What do you mean by that?
So what I've learned over time is that when you spray let's say a mirror, for example, if you spray it in window lean or whatever, or windows with lots and lots and lots of spray, you're dealing with lots and lots of product and you're pushing it around and pushing it around. And what I've learned through doing the cleaning myself is that the less product obviously you've got to say, like in the bathrooms, you've got to sanitize everything, you've got to keep it clean.
Yeah.
But if you manage how you so like I've developed a 3-stage process for cleaning the bathroom: clear, clean and finish. Because what I used to do when I'd go into the bathroom, I could get the good effect for the customer, but I'd be in there for 45 minutes in the bathroom. And you know what, I'm a bit embarrassed about how long this actually took me to work this out. But if you move dust when it's dry, it comes away so quick. So say, for example, a bath, like it's the most awkward, annoying thing in the whole house to clean. If you get your dry cloth on that and clear all the dust and all the canker out of it first, it comes away in like literally you can do it in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Clear it, and then you clean it, and then you spray it down, and then you leave it to dry again, and then you start moving all the canker off it again. So it's like a 3 stages. You can clean a bath in like 2 minutes flat. What I used to do was I'd be like, right, I've got to spray it all with product, spray, 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 spray. And then I'm moving all of the dust and it's sticking and it's getting clanked up and it's getting all over my cloth and changing cloth. And then when I did that 3 stage, I'm like, I cleaned the thing in 2 minutes that was taking me 10, 15 minutes before. So every bathroom now, when I clean it on that clear, clean finish, and then you can choose which stage you're starting at. So sometimes you don't need to clear it. You can go straight in at clean and then finish it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you could go straight in at finish because you've just got a mirror that's got a little bit of dust on it. Finish. Done.
Yeah.
So it's shaved a hell of a lot of time off and made the cleaning a lot more efficient. And then you can get cleaner quicker and get to that high polish, high shine.
Yeah. And it's better for you and your cleaners not breathing in loads of product and having it go through your skin and stuff like that. Like one of the things I removed from my product altogether was furniture polish. And I'm a big fan of damp dusting. Damp microfiber, dry microfiber, pick up all of like what doesn't come off with a microfiber duster, pick it up with a damp micro, polish it up.
Yeah.
Lovely, perfect, streak free, shiny, and you're not breathing in loads of
the aerosol, isn't it?
Yeah.
Aerosol spray.
Yeah. So what is one business system, tool, or routine that you just could not live without now?
ZenMaid. Love it. I just feel like ZenMaid's my buddy, my business buddy in the background, where everything is just there. And you know what, when I need to reallocate, because what I was doing before, I was paying for, because I wasn't paying to put all the cleaners on there. I was like, I could just do it on Google Sheets. I've soon got rid of that, where I'm like, allocate, 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 allocate. And then all the notes are on there for every single clean. All the card charging, that was why I got on there, because I was having to chase clients to make payments. Then I was having to go in amongst all the banking. So, oh, is this payment for this week or is it for last week? And then it was driving me nuts. So I paid really early on for the card payment system. And you know what? It is an absolute godsend. Love it.
So does that just take the card payment on the day of the clean? It just charges the card without you having to book the client?
No, so you do still have to process it manually, but on the front page, so like on the dashboard, I charge the cards once a week. I don't do it every day. Firstly, out of laziness, there's an element of that, being straight with you. But the second is that I like to give the client the time for if there was ever any issue.
Yeah, makes sense.
I don't want to be doing refunds, right? So they all know they're getting charged on Saturday. By Saturday, all the cleans have come through. It says, oh, here's all your outstanding clients, and you just go tick, 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 charge cards. Yay!
Sexy, like it. I think anything that takes away all of the time, and especially with repetitive tasks and everything. And the other thing that I used to like very much about ZenMaid is where you put in the address and it shows you like the picture of the house on the road, so that your cleaner can be like, oh, there it is, because they know what they're looking for. Yeah, I think it's
The staff have said as well when I started moving them on, they're like, "Oh, this ZenMaid's brilliant." So
yeah.
the staff like it; they feel reassured by it. It has been a godsend. It really has. I'd find what I'm doing very frustrating, I think, if I didn't have it. There'd be so much unnecessary admin.
I agree. And one of the things I find with working with a lot of cleaner business owners is that there's a resistance to paying for like the premium product. And so like with some of my smaller clients, like I've showed them how they can schedule through Google Calendar, but there comes a stage where you should be making enough money if you've got a team to pay for some software that will do all of that for you and like knock off between 5 and 10 hours of admin a week. Like it doesn't make sense to me not to pay for something that makes your life a lot easier. It's literally what we do for a living. Like we make other people's lives easier by keeping on top of their homes. And then we have all of this manual stuff in the background that we're not willing to give up or put into some fancy piece of software. I mean, when I started in 2008, all of these things didn't exist. And it all was very manual. And like it absolutely blows my mind the technology and how much it's changed in like the past 16 and a half years, because it does so many brilliant things that you don't have to sit and do, like, and especially with AI now, and you can link them all together so everything automates. It just doesn't
Yeah,
make sense.
I think because that happens a lot, doesn't it? Where people, when they're starting a business, they just resist
Yeah.
paying. And I think there's lots of things at play there. And I think one of them is that they're not counting their time. They're not actually looking at or doing like a workflow of like a time in motion study of how much time you're spending doing this, because your time is your money,
Yeah.
and you're not being paid for it. So to me, when I look at ZenMaid, I'm like, I am paying for the most efficient management scheduler, accountant for like a
Yeah.
ridiculously low amount of money that it's an absolute no-brainer to me. But I
Agree.
think maybe when people aren't doing it, it's because they're maybe still in the employee mindset and not in like a growth mindset of like, actually, I need the infrastructure behind me to build the house. You need to have all the structure there to build the business. And if the longer you put it off for, the more you're going to be in the weeds,
Yeah.
sorting out payments. And it's like, you don't want to be sorting out payments. That's $10 an hour work that ZenMaid can do. You want to be off doing $1,000 an hour work, getting more clients
Yeah.
in, getting commercial clients, getting staff in.
Yeah, it is. It's playing to your strength, and it's like what you said before about if you have to reallocate a clean, or you have to deal with a cancellation or a lockout or whatever the case may be. And I spoke about this not long ago in the videos. You're like, that's unpaid overtime that you're giving yourself. Like you've created yourself a job that you beat your own self with a stick, working every hour, all the weekends, stressed up to here. Like, pay for some software.
Yeah.
Let it do it for you, and you'll be like, why didn't I do that sooner? Yeah. I resisted in the beginning. I was trying to do everything free. No, I've got to save money. I'm in business. I've got to save money. And you just think, no, sometimes you've got to spend money to make more money.
Yeah,
It's just,
absolutely.
it's just the way that it goes. So, what would you say is the strangest or funniest thing that you've come across on a clean?
People leaving their sex toys out and very, very handcuffs and dirty tissues.
Yeah.
The funniest thing about that, because I had like secondhand embarrassment, and there was this contraption which I won't name, where I was trying to shove it in the drawer and shut the drawer, and it wouldn't shut. And then I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? I just felt like weird. I'm quite a liberal person, but I felt kind of violated. I was like, what's going on here? Get your rubbish away.
Yeah, I need a couple of glasses of wine before this. What are we doing?
But the funny thing was, when I went downstairs, literally a minute later, after trying to jam that in the thing, like dealing with your, personal whatever, I went downstairs and I said, "Hi, so and so. I'm coming downstairs." And do you know what he said to me? "Oh, I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable." And I'm like, "You're feeling uncomfortable? I've just been handling all
Yeah.
your paraphernalia up there."
Oh,
Yeah, I was
tell you
just
what, one
like,
of the
"Oh,
things I want to do one of the days is there should be a book of all of the things that cleaners see and witness, because yeah, cleaners could tell you stories to make your hair curl.
yeah, definitely."
If you could swap lives for a day with any business owner or with any celebrity, who would you swap with and why?
I I actually think that I'd swap with, as much as this might be a boring choice, actually. Yeah, that's pretty boring because I could have done something wild. But the first person that came to mind about who I'd swap with is Alex Hormozy,
Oh, okay.
um, because they run acquisition.com, where they are helping people to grow and scale their businesses. And I just think I'd just like to sit in on what they're talking about at this higher level when businesses are growing, and like what they're doing to like really grow and
Yeah.
scale businesses. So I know I could have done something really interesting and wild, but honestly, that's where
No,
my head
he's pretty much the man of the moment, isn't he, at the moment though? Him and his wife.
yeah, Layla, I watch them a lot, and I think where I
I think she's a real smart cookie.
yeah, yeah. Oh, they run that together, and they've gone through like the hell of their business and everything together. But one thing I like about him is that he's very realistic about what it takes.
Yes.
Yeah, so he doesn't dress it up and go, "Oh, look, all of a sudden I'm this." He talks about the pain of what you've got to go through to make it work.
What's your favourite thing to listen to when you're cleaning? Are you a podcast girl? Are you a music girl? Are you a silence girl? And the final question, and some would say the most important one, when you are having a break and you're having your brew in between cleans, what's your go-to biscuit?
I am an anti-biscuit person.
Anti-biscuit. There's no biscuits you like at all.
I believe that a biscuit is like rubble, and but if you offered me a slab of Victoria sponge cake with
I
fresh
do love
cream
it.
and
Yeah. Oh, I
milk,
like a
I'm with you.
Victoria. Yeah. Oh, I'm with you there. Yeah. I like a Victoria sponge cake. And one of my favourite things in the world is a cream tea. I love a cream tea.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
going
I'm with
through.
you then. I'm with you there for your cup of tea then. If we're have a scone and cream.
Well, thank you for being so open and sharing your cleaning business journey. And where can people come and follow you on social media?
So I don't kind of do my Facebook business channel much. So I suppose if anyone wanted to touch base with me or contact me, they can come through on the website. So I've got a booking form on there. You can just come through and just give it any different type of message, because I'm more than happy if anybody has any questions or anything that they wanted to ask. I believe in, sharing our knowledge, and I'm quite young in the journey, but anybody that wants help with anything, I'm more than happy to help, because I've had lots of help. Had lots of help from you, lots of help from the community. We all help each other.
Yeah, no, I think that's the best way to do it for us to all help each other and like learn from each other. It doesn't have to be this whole, I don't want you to see what I'm doing. It's super secret. Like, no, let's all raise up together. Like we all,
Abundance mindset.
yes,
Abundance.
we all do better when we're all helping each other up. And also, from my very privileged position of being able to speak to you before, there is exciting franchise opportunities that will be coming up with Interbright. So again, would somebody come through the website if they were interested in speaking to you about taking on one of your potential franchises?
Yeah, so they can come through the website. The email address is on there. My phone number's on there. So you can just contact me directly, because yeah, I am really looking for any. I am going to be franchising my business, and if you were struggling with the kind of business setup element but felt very passionately about starting a cleaning business, then I'm absolutely open to speak to people that would like to have a franchise, and actually have someone at the moment where we're kind of getting going with that now. So.
That is fabulous. And I will make sure to put all of those links in the description box below. Well, thank you very much, Viv. It has been a pleasure to chat to you about Interbright Cleaning and your journey of how you got here.
Thank you, Kelly. It's lovely to speak to you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you've enjoyed Viv's interview as much as I enjoyed conducting it. She really was a wise lady, and I enjoyed our chat very much. If you would like to be interviewed, if your business is doing something, you've overcome something, you've been trading for a while, maybe you've just started training and you've learned a whole lot, then contact me. I would love to interview and share you, your business and your awesomeness here on this channel, because I think we can all learn together, we can all come up together and raise the cleaning industry together as one. So I'm going to be back here next Wednesday with a brand new video. But until then, you stay sparkling. Bye bye.